Good journey, everyone. I was actually trying something new tonight, so I'm going live in two places. So here on my YouTube channel, which is where I kind of want to continue this, but I'm just trying to get more followers over to YouTube. So I got it actually going up on Instagram Live as well. We'll see. We'll see if I get more people in here. But yeah, just trying something new here. But anyway, welcome. Good journey, everyone. How is everyone doing? Is everybody's is everybody recovered from this week's episode of The Acolyte? We'll talk about it a little bit later, just because it's been a couple weeks since I've done this, and I want to talk about the previous episode mainly. I'm going to do a non-spoiler review of this week because I know that there's a lot of people out there that still haven't watched it yet. Ran across a bunch of people today, so I don't really want to spoil it too much, but I just got to give you my reactions, what I overall thought about it. But it was, man, was it dark. Hence, the mall light, the mall today, just because I agree. It was fire. It definitely was. Totally agree with that. And yes, episode 5 equals fire. I totally agree with that. So, what an amazing episode. But anyway, again, I don't want to really get into a lot of that. And if I do, it'll be a little bit later. If we want to talk about it, we can talk about it later. I really want to get into last week's episode. I want to talk about some other things that have been announced recently within the past couple weeks. And yeah, some cool merch, updates on some series maybe you heard as well. But we'll talk about that. And yeah, just some things surrounding the Acolyte as well. So good stuff too. We'll save some good stuff to the end. Or maybe we'll start off with some good stuff. Should we start off with the good and then go to the bad? Light, dark side, which should we start with? We're gonna go ahead and start with kind of dark side, but it's all in reference to our Not Long Ago in This Galaxy segment, which I usually do on my Instagram channel. So if anybody is watching on Instagram, I do this almost every day on Instagram. I go live. It's been a while. I had a crazy week last week. I had car trouble. I had a few extra days off, and just the weekend was crazy. And yeah, it's just a lot going on. So, but I'm back at it. I should be going live again tomorrow on Instagram doing the Not Long Ago in This Galaxy segment. I do that around 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as I'm heading over to work. So get ready for that. We'll talk about something in Star Wars history that happens every day. Today in Star Wars history, not long ago in this galaxy, we're going back to 1997. So a year before Episode 1, hence Episode 1, Maul. And it also ties into a little bit of what happened today, June 26, 1997. This is the first day of principal photography for Episode 1. And yeah, my notes are crashing again. Let me I have it. I always have it pulled up somewhere else. So you know what? Here we go. Yeah, so first day of principal photography for, and I just turned my camera off. Man, I'm all over the place tonight. Sometimes. Anyway. Whew. Let me just share some screens here. Share some screens, right? That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to share some screens. But anyway, going back to Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and production started today in 1997 with a little scene that was I really am messing up here. There we go. All right. So first day of principal photography at Levson Studios in Hertfordshire, England, for The Phantom Menace began today in 1997. So when we heard about this, it was, for all of us Star Wars fans, it was definitely something that everybody got excited about. We knew these prequels were coming out. This was something that George Lucas finally, after a very long absence, in the director's chair, returned kind of reluctantly because he didn't really want to do this. He reached out to his friends, Steven Spielberg, Ron Howard, some others, wanting them to direct, and they felt it was way too daunting of a task. And they basically said, "No, you need to do this. This is your thing. You're doing some groundbreaking work. We need you to go forward because only you can do this." Thinking of like how he made some groundbreaking visual effects achievements within the first movies. He was going to be doing that again. We've talked about that before with the CG within the past couple months with the anniversary of The Phantom Menace. And there were things that had never been done before. And these other directors that are amazing directors and would have done a fantastic job, I'm sure, told George, this is your thing. This is your story. Proceed with it. Go with it. You do it. So George Lucas, after a very long absence in any bit of directing, returned to that director's chair. And the first shot, this first sequence that was shot today in 1997, was a sequence in front of a blue screen lined set, which was a lot of The Phantom Menace, which kind of got a lot of people upset. But there were still a lot of tangible sets that were built. A lot of it was, but there was just so much otherworldly that he wanted to do that he had to use blue screen. There was so much CG that was being involved, things that he wanted to start bringing into motion picture, which honestly, if he didn't do it, we wouldn't be where we are at movie making today, because CG, you can't even tell right now. And don't say you can, because there is no way you can tell what is CG and what is not on screen right now. It's almost virtually impossible to tell what is true and what's not nowadays. And it wouldn't really be that way unless George started with this. So he shot a sequence in a blue screen line set with actors Ian McDiarmid and Ray Park. And this was the scene that had them out on the balcony of Coruscant. I believe that that's the scene that they shot, where basically Sidious and Maul are walking on that balcony in Coruscant, and Maul saying, "At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have a revenge," which is an awesome scene, right? Of course, that was Ray Park in person, not his voice. Different actor for the voice in that scene. Actually, in any of Maul's scenes, which really Maul didn't have a lot of lines at all. There really wasn't much at all as far as Maul speaking in the movie. We didn't really get to hear Maul dialogue until we got into the Clone Wars, Rebels, and all those amazing shows, and we got to see a little bit more depth of Maul's character later on. But really, he was truly just a pawn in Sidious's scheme at this point in time, not having a lot of speaking role. Yeah, so that was the first shot in principal photography today in 1997. That scene there at Levston Studios, first day of principal photography for Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Speaking of Darth Maul, there was a lot of Darth Maul stuff going on within. We are still on the edge of our Phantom Menace celebration. It's still 2024, and we're still celebrating 25 years of the Phantom Menace. So we got some new merchandise that has been released as well. Some pretty awesome merchandise, honestly, which has been pretty amazing. Go ahead and close this. So we got some new collectibles. The Darth Maul Rises in Premium Collectibles Studios new Star Wars line. And there's 3 different iterations of this that you can get. They actually have already gone on pre-order sale. I'll try to put the link up a little bit later in my on my YouTube channel if I can remember to do that right after this. But they went on pre-order June 13th. I'm not a big collectible of this sort of thing, but these are beautiful, and they definitely are worth talking about. But there's 3 Maul versions for fans to choose from. There's the classic Maul, which is that one on the right there. If you're looking at the screen, with his cloak on and everything, holding out that double-bladed lightsaber, kind of like right when he ignites it, a little bit similar to that. But so that was based on that reveal in the Naboo hangar, in the Phantom Menace, and that was a pose that had to be done, which is an amazing pose. We remember that very, very clearly, with Maul holding out that lightsaber and igniting the one side and then igniting the other side. Really, that first reveal of a double-bladed lightsaber, which I'm sure everybody's mouths just dropped when that happened, and we couldn't wait to see that duel that was to come after. So that pose is one of the collectibles. The other one is the shirtless training Maul, which was kind of drawn from animation, comic appearances that we saw Maul in early on, and also in some of the Clone Wars episodes, with Maul very much tatted up. And there's another version that's exclusive to the PCS online store. Again, that's Premium Collectible Studios, which features a swappable torso. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that one up as well, because it is only the torso, but the base is pretty cool as well. So let's see here. We got this one, and here we go. Nope, that is not the right one. Not the right one. I mean, I can go ahead and show this one right now, because this is the base of that one that I just showed. And it's lit. So you kind of see with the lights off, lights on, and it is the duel in that power generator area of Naboo. Which cool that it lights up that base. But anyway, that I'm going to go to the other one, the third collectible. And this is the one with just the torso of Maul. Again, both looks, shirt and shirtless, but this one actually comes with both, and you can swap each one out. So that is the third. Again, this one right here, this one's only exclusive to the PCS online store, which has the swappable torso of the classic and training editions, along with that bust is the stand that's inspired by the Maul lightsaber, the original lightsaber that Maul had. So pretty cool. Those collectibles that are already in pre-order. Like I said, they're already available for pre-order. I don't know when they actually will be released. I couldn't find out anything like that. I didn't go to the website, but I didn't see the cost of them. I didn't go to the website. I meant to go to the website to check out the cost, but yeah. So those are going to be available. Again, they're available for pre-order now, but they will be available soon, I would think, maybe towards the end of the year. But so yeah, so that's some dark sides. Let's just go back and forth. We're gonna do some light side stuff, because if we just keep on the dark side, it just might get too emotional. We got to go back and forth. We got to keep with the light, keep with the dark. But anyway, we're gonna go to our fun loving show on Disney Junior, Disney Plus, wherever you might stream, and we're gonna talk about this amazing. I gotta move this over. I think my thing was in the way. Let's do this. There we go. There. Now you can see me, right? Young Jedi Adventures. Season 1 was amazing. So much fun. Won a lot of awards. And Season 2 has been announced. So Young Jedi Adventures is returning for Season 2. I am really hoping that we are going to see possibly some Young Jedi versions of some of our Acolyte characters, especially after what happened this week. It would be nice to see. Wouldn't it be great to see some Yord, and maybe even some Osha, some young Osha, maybe training. Maybe we get some background of her character, when she was training, when she was younger. That would be pretty cool. Have an OSHA Yord somehow guest spot in some of these episodes. I think Jackie is too young but we could also see Master Soul. We can see Indara come back. It would be cool to have Kalnaka. All these characters that are, some of them, maybe more of them not being with us anymore. Try not to spoil if you don't know anything that's going on. But yeah, it'd be nice to see, some of these characters back on screen. Maybe in a different version, in a different light, in a way. So it would be cool to have that. But yes, Young Jedi Adventures season 2 is returning. The first episodes of the second season of this animated series is going to debut on Disney Plus and Disney Junior Wednesday, August 14th. So we're going to get Acolyte. We got 3 more episodes of Acolyte, which takes us into like the middle of July. And then we got about a month, and we'll get some Young Jedi Adventures. So again, we'll have some Star Wars to carry us over until the next series, which I don't know. What is it going to be? Is it going to be? I guess it's going to be Skeleton Crew. Haven't really heard much, but I'm guessing maybe by the time Acolyte wraps up, D23 will be around the corner in August as well. So I'm guessing we might see a trailer for whatever is coming next. Maybe Skeleton Crew will get a trailer for a D23. We already kind of have had some news and video and film from Skeleton Crew at past Celebration, but yeah. So but yeah, Young Jedi Adventures. The second half of the season will come in early 2025. So they did split it up, not as much as they split it up the last time. So, last time they split it up into 3 segments. This time we're going to get it in 2 segments. So August, and then again in 2025, early in 2025, which, when did it come out? It came out like in January, didn't it, this past year? The last bits of the season. But as of right now, though, actually June 14th was released, and I haven't watched these yet. You can enjoy new Nubs shorts with some fun with Nubs. So yeah, let's see here. I have what is it? What's it called again? I think I did. I actually totally said what it was called. I remembered it because it's so much fun. Fun with Nubs. Fun with Nubs. You can watch these series now. I don't know where I don't know if it's on Disney Plus. I haven't seen it on Disney Plus, so I'm guessing this is on like maybe the YouTube Kids channel, maybe, because I know some of these were released on YouTube Kids already. So, but Fun with Nubs, these shorts are available now. It's a digital series. So yeah, so I'm guessing if it's a digital series, I'm guessing that means it's online. I don't know. But yeah, so Young Jedi Adventures coming back. So excited for that. I know a lot of people that will be very excited for that because their kids loved it, and it's a great introduction into Star Wars. So can't wait for that to happen. Now let's talk about the Acolyte. First, I actually want to talk about this, and I don't know if you have seen this or not, but the episode that had just watched I'm watching the episode right now, and I just hit a scene that was really messed up. But the Power of Two. So we had the Power of One, Power of Two, Power of Many, by the witches of Brendok, that sect that were there, and what they believed as far as what the Force was, and at that ceremony, and that kind of chant that they did. Well, that chant has been made into a song, and honestly, I love it. I don't know if you've heard it or not, but it is available on Spotify now, called The Power of Two, which was sung by Grammy Award winner Victoria Monet, and it's beautiful. Love it. It's supposed to be an end credit song that has yet to debut. So I don't know if like maybe this whole May OSHA thing, if something happens where they work. It looks like it's going to the point where they're going to be working together at some point, right? Without giving too much away. Um, and you have a feeling that maybe it's going to debut at the end of that episode. So yeah, we'll see when it actually uh, is part of the end credit scene. But if you want to listen to that song now, I have. It's great. You can listen to it online on streaming platforms. I know it's on Spotify because I have Spotify, and I've been listening to it a lot lately. And it's a great song. It's a great song, and can't wait to actually see how it ties into a future Acolyte episode. But speaking of the Acolyte, let's talk about last week's episode, Day. Last week's episode, Day. I'm gonna kind of give you like my top 5 moments of this episode, and starting with number 5. Let's talk Kelnaka. Kelnaka. We got to see a little bit more of him. Hoping for more of Kelnaka. I was really, really hoping for more of Kelnaka. And the way his character ended last week, it was kind of heartbreaking because I just wanted to see a little bit more, and I got worried that we weren't really going to see much of him, kind of knowing where the episode was going, and I was like, are we really just not going to have any more Kanaka already? And yes, he really went very fast. But we got to see him doing some fun things in the beginning, making some meals, doing some things that Wookiees do, eating their greens. But it was interesting to look around in his little home there and see some things that some Easter eggs to not only the Acolyte but maybe also to preferences of weapons with Wookiees. There is a bowcaster, if you did not notice, in the scene, looking around his little area there. So if you did notice that, that's a nod to the bowcaster being Chewbacca's preferred weapon. So guessing it's kind of like a Wookiee thing, the bowcaster. But also the symbol. The symbol that we saw all over Brendock with the witches of Brendock and the forehead tattoo that almost looks like it's a very interesting design that has a lot of aspects to certain design features of the Octo Temple. Features of like it on the ground, the symbol on the ground, a lot of connections to that. So Octo is supposed to be one of the first Jedi temples. It'll be interesting to go back in the in the future. It'll be interesting to go back and see like James Mangold's movie if it ever comes to play, because you know how it is sometimes we have these talked about movies and then sometimes they just disappear. But I would love to see, it almost seems like they're setting that up with all these different aspects of the Force, different beliefs. But I think when we go to the beginning, you're going to see that connection of all of them. And I think this whole symbol that keeps turning up, now with the witches of Brendock, and then also that symbol turning up on Octo, very similar. I have a feeling that that's going to come into play when we start talking about the Force and where it began and so forth. So yeah, that was my number 5 moment with Kelnaka. Again, it was kind of sad to see him go, unfortunately, and maybe we'll get some flashbacks of Kelnaka. I don't know. But my number 4 moment is a new character, which little Basil here. Basil was great, right? Love that. He was a Tinnin, and I talked about this either last week or the week before last. But there's This is the first time we've ever seen this character, or no, it's not the first time we've ever seen. Yes, it is the first time we've seen this character on screen. Um, the character, the species is canon from Rogue One Catalyst. There was a Tenon in Rogue One Catalyst, which was a prequel book to Rogue One. But originally, this goes all the way back to the earliest days of books with one of the Han Solo books, and there was a Tenon in those books, or one of those books. So this is a character pulled way, way from way back, and it was interesting to see this character. I love this character. I love his like screeching and screaming. It reminded me of one of my cats, honestly. But this is something that creator Leslie Halen kind of, and the other team plucked out of these Legends lore. And it's neat to see these characters finally see the light of day, getting reused and brought to light. And it was fun to see. I was worried about Basil at the end of last week's episode. He had a good ending so far with this week's episode without getting too much away. But yeah, so but Basil, so much fun. I loved how he always kept like disappearing on them, kind of getting ahead of himself. So fun episode. That was my number 4 moment of last week's episode day. This part of the episode, oh my goodness. So Camille's character last week, I just thought it was too predictable. And again, I'm not going to talk about this week too much. Just thought it was too predictable last week. He's just playing this, self-doubting character. Not thinking too much of himself, but then also, edging in on May not being good enough for the master. With some really biting remarks, basically just saying that, very simply, that she's failed so much, pretty bluntly. This is one of the scenes that kind of bothered me a little bit because May has she went from really dark to really kind of turning around so fast. Just in this last week episode, I almost felt like it was too fast. Because I would have thought that, like, that would have set something off. Does she really have this tight relationship with Camille enough to hold back, responding to that comment in a different way? I mean, he put it up. That's a really big put down, to basically saying, that she's failed. I mean, she does kind of have comeback, but it's just, that saying that she's killed 2 Jedi already and so forth. But and it's just so funny how he's so weak, yet he comes off so strong in last week's episode. And it's too. It was a little bit too much. It was for this series being a mystery. Yeah, her face did change, but still, I think it was, I was hoping for a little bit more of a gradual conflict, back and forth. And I mean, it did kind of go back in that direction this week a little bit. But I don't know. It's not flowing the way I want it to. Not flowing the way I wanted to. Just my little bit of critiques. I'm still enjoying it, but I was just hoping for a little bit more of a gradual change and not like the ups and downs that I'm seeing from her character. But and then him, I think it was a little bit too much over the top for what we saw this week. We kind of knew what was coming. We knew it was coming a little bit too easily. And again, for a series that was driving itself upon like a mystery, trying to figure something out, I almost feel like I kind of threw that away last week with Day, because a lot of things became very predictable last week. Very predictable. And I was hoping it wasn't. Like, I was hoping it was to throw us off. Honestly, just the predictability that it was. If you were going off of all the hints, you could have guessed this week's episode. But I was really hoping that all of it was thrown out there to make us think, and then totally going in a different direction. But that's not what it did. So if you were basing yourself off of everything that those characters and how they were acting last week, and you haven't watched this week's episode, you're not going to be surprised. You're not going to be surprised. But I was hoping for a big twist. I was hoping that it was pulling us, making us think that this was going to happen, and then it was totally going to go in another direction. So I was a little disappointed that I wasn't. I mean, I was surprised, but I was surprised that it was so predictable. That's all I got to say. But it was still enjoyable. It's still enjoyable. Still great storytelling. I'm still loving it. I still can't wait for next week's episode. But we're still talking about Day, right? We're still gonna talk about Day. Going to my number two moment. My number two moment of last week's episode. The Jedi. So I loved this group of Jedi that went to Kofar. All of them. By the way, can we just mention Ki-Adi-Mundi? Didn't mention him, but cameo spot, pretty amazing to see that. And all these Jedi that were heading to Kofar to get Kelnaka, to try to save Kelnaka and warn him. Love this group of Jedi. I loved seeing, I forget the species. I knew I was going to forget it. It was in the top of my head. I always forget Plo Koon's species. But a lot of people thought it was Plo Koon. It was not. That was definitely solidified this week. But it was really cool to see this group of Jedi together. It was really awesome at the end to see all the lightsabers ignite. That was something from the trailer that got us really, really excited. It was an amazing part of that cliffhanger, seeing them just, react to what happened at the end of Day, and them being ready for battle. And that cliffhanger the cliffhangers in these episodes have been fantastic. Honestly, they just want you to get that next episode out every single week. So it's been amazing to be able to have a series that has you on your edge of the seat at the end of the episode and just wanting more because the credits roll. Loved the camaraderie of the Jedi, just the back and forth, a little bit of banter here and there. I loved the moment when Master Soul with those creatures, basically just kind of like stepping forward, and he's like, "I'll handle this." I just love it. I love how his character has so many different emotions, and he's just such an amazing Jedi. It's going to be tough to, if this goes in the direction that I think I'm going, we're probably not going to have any of them at the end of the series. I think it's going to be a lot like Rogue One at the end of this, but just with lots of Jedi dying. So really cool. That was my number two moment, just seeing especially all the different color lightsaber. We haven't seen that since like Clone Wars, the yellow blades, the green blades, the blue blades, all of them. It was really cool to be able to see all that. And just getting really excited for this week's episode. And then that number one moment for me was really at the end. The moment when May was basically in the Kelnaka's home, and she realizes that he had already been slain. And she realized that she was, what she had thought about the Master talking about killing a Jedi without a weapon. And originally it was thought that was to mean that she was supposed to kill a Jedi with her not having a weapon. Like, how do you go up against a Jedi unarmed and defeat a Jedi that has a weapon when you don't have a weapon. But it was more so about taking the life of a Jedi that was defenseless. And she almost couldn't grasp doing that. Which again, that part of it earlier in that conversation when she was talking to Kamir, again, is a big change because she had no problem, twisting the instructions of the master to basically just take these other two Jedi out with like no problem at all, to having trouble killing a Jedi that was defenseless. So, and just there wasn't a lot of conflict there. It was just too easy for me. But I loved the fact that she didn't have to even worry about that. I love the fact that Kanako was already executed. And then that moment when she realizes that the master is there on Kofar. That moment that we see where she's like standing there in the light and then the light just goes to dark. I mean, you knew that once the credits rolled, you knew what the this week's episode was going to be called. I mean, it was, again, very predictable, light, dark. And you knew the reason, how that was gradually. You knew the episode was ending because this was going to go into next week's episode. But that moment where everything just goes dark and May's in there and she realizes that he's here. Then we go right outside. And I love that, just the sense of everything, which, let's go back to Basil and wonder, like, Basil's senses are heightened, right? Because he knew something was rotten, I think, before anybody else. They were in that forest. I don't know if they were hinting that he knew about the bugs, or maybe it was even more in depth, because I actually was thinking more in depth with his character when he basically said he smelled something rotten. I was thinking that he was sensing that the master was there at that point in time. So maybe that's the case. But we go back outside of Kalnaka's hut and we see the Jedi Master Soul is sensing. I think that he kind of knew this was coming as well, with some of the things that he was saying to Osha earlier. Kind of realizing that they needed to get May to safety and get her on the ship. And kind of not telling the whole story as to why, but saying that he will, kind of let Osha know later. So I think he knew ahead of time that the master was there. And of course he's sensing it. Turns around. Osha's behind everybody because they're thinking that May's the threat. But then they turn around and they look at May, and you see in the background, which has to be one of the most intense, freaky scenes of Star Wars. And it just gave me chills to see the master just kind of gliding in. We've never actually seen that in live action before. Anybody kind of like levitating or de-levitating themselves out of, the background, which was a really, really intense moment. And then just with a real flick of the wrist, shoving Osha aside, and then first igniting that lightsaber, then just flicking her aside, and then that big, powerful force push, very similar to what Master or what May did to Master Soul on earlier in the episodes when she got away. So you could kind of see that master apprentice, teaching skills, using those same force powers, but in a different way and even more powerful. So basically pushing all those Jedi back. I loved how at the beginning of this week's episode, we literally saw the way the ground was pushed back. And again, I'm not going to get too much into this week's episode, but again, that was my number one moment of last week's episode. Just that ending. It gave me chills. It was the best cliffhanger of the season so far. It really did. You knew that next week's episode was going to be immediately after, and you just wanted to fast forward one more week so fast and see this week's episode. But without going into too many spoilers for this week, this week's episode night, we have 3 more episodes left, and this week's episode felt like a finale to me, with everything that happened. It was just, it went so fast. I did not think that we were going to be left the way we were at the end of this episode. A lot of the questions that I had, for the most part, have been answered. The big 2 mysteries, like who the master was, and has been answered. Still kind of not really sure if we know all of what happened on Brendock. I think we're still missing something there, and I don't see enough of what's going on here with those Jedi being targeted, from what we saw in that one episode, where May felt reason to, kill all of those Jedi. And I think there's more to her story, of what happened that we didn't see, that Osha didn't know about. I am good. There was a little bit of talk about she had been brainwashed, Osha. So I'm wondering if her mind has been blocked about what actually happened. And maybe we saw a little bit of Osha's take of what happened, and we didn't see the true story of what happened. That also was kind of hinted at with Venestra, Master Rowe, and her basically going up to Saul and kind of criticizing him for not letting them know what happened on Brendock. And it wasn't just that May survived, but something else happened. It just has to be, and we don't want to know the whole story. With 3 episodes left, I almost am wondering if we're going to get another flashback episode, maybe next week, and then have the final 2 episodes. I can see that happening, and seeing the other side of this story with May, and what she experienced happen on Brendock. And of course, it won't be the entire episode. Maybe it'll just be hints of certain things leading up to that very end where the fire, like from the fire being started on, or maybe even May didn't start the fire. Who knows? Who knows what possibly could have happened there? It could be a totally different perspective, which could, again, which one is truth, which one is not truth. Ben saying Osha may have been given 2 different versions of what happened to their family and each other. Yeah, I totally agree. I think but I don't know if we're actually going to know the answer of what actually happened. I think it's going to be up to us to kind of believe what happened, almost kind of the way, and kind of this is one reason that I really liked the yeah, right. This is one of the reasons why I like the Last Jedi, because the Last Jedi kind of did that with Luke and Kylo Ren. You had 2 different perspectives of what happened. Kylo's perspective on Luke basically attacking him and wanting to kill him, and that rage that Luke, kind of felt. And then you had Luke's version that was completely different. And I think there's a middle ground. Like, I almost think that there is a middle there that we don't really know which side was which. So I think this is kind of doing the same thing, in a different way. So yeah. So like that part of the mystery that I've still said that was probably a big part of the story, I don't think has been truly answered yet. We do know who the master is after this week's episode. Not going to say who. It was kind of predictable. Not who I wanted it to be. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. I don't know if I want to throw this out there because I still think that, I don't know, I think she's involved somehow. I don't know. I'm not going to throw it out there yet. Not going to throw it out there yet. There is a character that I still feel is somehow involved in all of this. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, we had a really cool new lightsaber this week. Again, I don't want to get into a lot of spoilers, but really cool lightsaber battles. A lot of surprises, a lot of shocks. And yeah, we'll talk about this week's episode a lot next week, but I don't want to get into too many spoilers. There's a lot of people out there that have not watched it yet, but I totally encourage you to watch it. It is a very dark, deep, surprising, shocking, amazing episode. Kind of going all over the place, very fast, a lot in this. This could have been a two episode drawn out. Honestly, they could have extended it. They could have extended the story, extended a little bit of what happened a little bit, and dragged it out into 2 episodes, and they crammed it all into one. And it was very, very much fantastic. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and throw out a crucial character pick. This week, it's from Star Wars Rebels. So we'll go a little bit light before we leave tonight. Star Wars Rebels was the first Disney animated series from the beginning that I was worried about, and the first season I was still worried about, but then I became very invested, and I loved Rebels. I think it's probably it's my second favorite animated series. But a lot of the later parts of the series are right up there with the Clone Wars, and especially the later seasons of the Clone Wars. But I think like the most crucial character, like I've had some favorite characters that have been brought up, and I loved like kind of seeing those characters show up again, like in the Ahsoka series and so forth. But my all-time, who I feel is the most crucial character of Star Wars Rebels, has to be Hera Syndulla. Hera, if it weren't for Hera, there would be no Rebels, right? At least there'd be no Spectre team with Phoenix Squadron. And I've read some of the prequel books to Rebels, the one basically where Hera met Kanan. Very awesome book, really cool, but it's her. She was the original. She's the captain of the Ghost. Chopper's been with her from the very beginning. I love seeing some of her backstory in some of the other series. It was really cool to be able to see some of that with the Bad Batch in the Bad Batch, and see her as a younger character and kind of how she developed into the person she was. We know from other series, or from the Rebel series, that her father was Cham Syndulla, which you kind of wondered about that from the very beginning when you knew they had the last name, because we knew Chan from the Clone Wars episodes, and we knew that he was a general in his own right for the Resistance, the Twi'lek Resistance on Ryloth. And it was really cool to kind of see her character become who she was, and she's got a lot of she left that resistance to fight a bigger resistance, and make more for the cause of the rebellion against the Empire, not just for her own planet, but for the galaxy as a whole. And she became who she is today in Star Wars, and we see her still, being a big part of the galaxy. It was hinted that she was at the Battle of Endor. It's been hinted she was at the Battle of Scarif. It's been amazing to see her character develop and still be around with Ahsoka, and it's great to see her character now in live action. But I love the character of Hera Syndulla. Hera Syndulla, probably my favorite character of Star Wars Rebels. It wasn't at the beginning, honestly. It was Kanan, but like Hera, I love everything about Hera. I mean, who wouldn't love the Captain of the Ghost? The Captain of the Ghost, what a great ship too. Definitely my second favorite ship of all time. So it's right up there in my top 5. The Ghost. I mean, come on. But anyway, Justin Sunfeld joining in a little bit on my Instagram live. Justin, good to see you. But I'm just wrapping up. So it's been nice having you. Thank you, Ben, for joining on YouTube. Thank you, Justin, for joining in, at least saying hi a little bit. And it's good to see everybody. And yeah, so again, I did this first time tonight, kind of co-live YouTube and Instagram. You can watch it full episode on YouTube anytime. Space Oats Live, Star Wars Podcast, my YouTube channel, The Crucial Crew Member. Yeah, tomorrow you'll see me on Instagram doing Not Long Ago in This Galaxy. I hope everybody has a great night. If you have not watched Acolyte yet, gotta do it. I didn't spoil it too much, I hope. So before you watched it, but please watch it because I can't hold back talking about this any longer. I've been holding my tongue. I can only give people so many days to watch these things, and then I got to start talking about it. So, but what an amazing episode. Just mind blown after that one, right? But yeah, thank you for joining in. Remember to do something Star Wars. Until next time, watch some Star Wars, listen to some Star Wars, read some Star Wars, play some Star Wars, do something Star Wars. Most importantly, remember, as always, may the stars light your way. Have a great rest of your week, everyone, and I will hopefully see you next week.